दशमस् sorry दशमस्य विशुद्ध्यार्थं
दशमस्य विशुद्ध्यार्थं
नवानाम् इह लक्षणं
नवानाम् इह लक्षणं
वर्णयन्ति महात्मानः
वर्णयन्ति महात्मानः
श्रुतेनार्थेन चाञ्जसा.
श्रुतेनार्थेन चाञ्जसा.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Someone else, please.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु.
Go ahead, ma'am.
दशमस्य विशुद्ध्यर्थं
Dasamasya
विशुद्ध्यर्थं
नवानाम् इह लक्षणं
नवानाम् इह लक्षणं
वर्णयन्ति महात्मानः
वर्णयन्ति महात्मानः
श्रुतेनार्थेन चाञ्जसा.
Shutenathena Chandasa.
हरे
Thank
कृष्ण.
you. Translation: to isolate the transcendence of the samam bonam, the symptoms of the rest are described sometimes by Vedic inference, sometimes by direct explanation, and sometimes by summary explanation given by the great sages. Okay, this verse is just a continuation of the previous words, where Shukadeva Goswami explains the 10 characteristics or 10 symptoms of Srimad Bhagavatam, Damala Puran. Yeah? So out of 10, the topmost is Samam Bonam, the transcendental Samam Bonam, which is Ashraya, supreme shelter. So rest 9 are described to reach to understand the 10th, which is Ashraya, supreme shelter, to understand Supreme Personality of Godhead. So to understand Supreme Personality of Godhead, we have to understand where we are actually, and what is our current situation, and what is around us, what is going on around us, and why we are here, and why things are like this, why things are going on around like the way they are going on, and the structure, how we are living and everything, how things are flowing in this skala, in time. So we have to understand that. We have to understand Sambandha, we have to understand Vidya, we have to understand Prayojan. Prayojan is the ultimate goal, which is Ashraya, supreme center. Okay? So to clearly understand Ashraya, we have to understand each and every part of remaining 9 symptoms. So actually, our devotees say that they are more like, not like symptoms or characters, they are, but in pure terminology, they are called Leelas, because everything is a Leela of Krishna. This whole thing is a Srishti Leela. This whole, the purpose of material creation and maintenance and destruction is called Srishti Leela. Okay, and this Srishti Leela has 9 characters or 9 Leelas, sub-Leelas in that. Okay, that is Sarga, Visarga, Sthanam, Poshanam, Manavantara, Vishanukata, Nirodha, and Mukti. Okay, these are the 9 sub-Leelas of this Srishti Leela. So Sarga means the primary creation. You know, you have learned this yesterday from Prabhuji. What is Sarga, Visarga, Sthanam, Poshana, Manvantara, Ishanukata, Nirodha, Mukti. So here the topic of this discussion is Ashraya. What is Ashraya? Ashraya is clearly Sri Krishna. Attaining the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. That is Ashraya. So how this is structured in Bhagavatam? So we have heard many times that Srimad Bhagavatam is Sri Krishna himself. From Canto 1 to 12 is like from Krishna's lotus feet to Krishna's head. So in Padma Puran is described that lotus feet, 2 feet. They are Canto 1 and Canto 2. Okay? Feet. Then the thighs are Canto 3 and Canto 4. Okay? Then the navel is Canto 5. Chest is Canto 6. And arms, 2 arms are Canto 7 and 8. Throat, Krishna's throat is Canto 9. And Krishna's beautiful face is Canto 10. Yeah? And Krishna's forehead is Canto 11. And his head is Canto 12. This is how it is described how Srimad Bhagavatam, all 12 cantos are different parts of Krishna's body. So when we are having darshan of Krishna, we start from the lotus feet. Then we reach to his smiling face. Okay. That is the process our acharyas have given us. Our sadhu saints have told us how to have darshan of Krishna. So in the same way, we study Srimad Bhagavatam, or we hear Srimad Bhagavatam from the lotus feet, from Canto 1 to 9, then we go to 10, then 11 and 12. That is a process. So because first 9 cantos will help you understand primarily this 9, actually it will help you understand 7 sublilas. Okay, because Mukti and Nirodha are Canto 11 and 12. 10 is Canto, Ashraya is Canto 10. So in this, Canto 1 and Canto 2 are not categorized. Canto 3 is categorized as primarily Sarga. So all these 10 topics are throughout Bhagavatam. They are everywhere actually. But in some cantos, they are highlighted more than other. So for example, the Sarga Leela is highlighted more in Canto 3, and a little bit less in other cantos. Okay. And for example, Poshana Leela is highlighted more in Canto 6 and a little bit less in other. So in this way, so let's see how each of this Leela is highlighted in each canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. So first 2 cantos are more like introduction. Some sadhus say that first canto is Adhikar Leela, to determine the Adhikar. And second canto is Sadhana Leela. So what is Adhikar Leela? So first canto is actually, it's like an introduction. First Canto 1 and Canto 2 are introduction. So Canto 1 talks about Adhikar. So what kind of Adhikar we are talking about? So Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that it's Amala Puran. Whoever takes shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam, they attain the fruit of Krishna Bhakti, which is Krishna Prem. Okay. So introduction is like, if you see the first canto, it starts with, in Naimisharanya, discussion between Sutta Goswami and Saunaka Rishi and his followers, his disciples, and many hundreds of disciples. So they all assemble there and they're doing their worship and they're discussing there. So this group, the followers, the disciples of Saunaka Rishi, they all are either towards, they're inclined towards jnana or yoga. Either they are aiming towards Brahman or few fortunate people towards Paramatma. So, and Sutta Goswami, who heard Srimad Bhagavatam from the lips of Shukadeva Goswami previously, he's a Bhagavat. So he already realized Bhagavan. So Brahman and Paramatma are just a partial representation of Bhagavan. And Sutta Goswami heard Srimad Bhagavatam from Shukadeva Goswami in the assembly of Parishit Maharaj, and he has understood, realized Bhagavan, the complete, full representation of absolute truth. Satyam Param Dhimahi. So he is imparting that where you are, it's okay, but there is some higher thing you need to realize. Beyond Paramatma and Parabrahma, the supreme shelter is Krishna. His ashraya is Krishna. So in this way, there is a adhikar being, they had some adhikar of jnana and yoga, and they were elevated to the bhakti by the mercy of a Bhagavat. So anybody can be elevated to bhakti, to the platform of bhakti, provided that they surrender to Bhagavat, Mahabhagavat, or pure devotee of the Lord. That is the only qualification, is to surrender to pure devotee of the Lord. Okay, and then we go further. We hear the conversation between Narad Muni and Srila Vedavyas. Okay, so here Vedavyas, for the benefit of Kali Yuga, because Kali Yuga people have short memory, they cannot they don't have strong memories that they can remember all the scriptures and essence of scriptures. So he is categorizing all the scriptures, but he focused on Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. The Adhikar of Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, and Varnashrama, and how to be good person, have morality and ethics and everything. So that was the focus. So he wanted to give this to the people of Kali Yuga. But then the Mahabhagavat Narad Muni appeared there and said that help people in realizing Bhagavan, help them in bhakti. So that's where Vedavyas has finally compiled Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's why the first canto is more or less it's said by some sadhus as Adhikar Lila. It is determination of ultimate goal is bhakti. Whether you are jnana, dhyana, or Ashtanga Yoga, whatever you're doing, or whether you're following Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, or Varnashram, or whatever it may be, wherever you may be taking shelter, a shelter is not ultimate shelter. The ultimate supreme shelter is the spirit of Sri Krishna. So that is being established in Canto 1. And in Canto 2, it's called Sadhana Lila. It more or less talks about how the Jnanis attain Brahman and indirect worship. And direct worship is meditating on Paramatma. But Lord Brahma establishes that bhakti is above both of those sadhanas. So that's where the Canto 1 and Canto 2 establish those two things, that bhakti is ultimate. And Krishna Bhakti is ultimate. Krishna Prema is supreme shelter. Then from Canto 3 onwards, Canto 3, the subjects of all this Sablila start. Canto 3 highlights Sarga. It highlights all other things. It highlights it talks about Visarga, Sthana, Poshana, everything. It talks about Ashraya as well, but it highlights Sarga. So what is Sarga? Creation of the Lord. So we hear this very deeply and very elaborately. All this from Sarga, Visarga, Sthana, Poshana till Canto 9. And these are explained by great sages. It says that given by great sages. Who are those great sages? They are Vidura and Maitreya. They are the great sages. And they are explained by Vedic inferences, means from Vedic evidences, and sometimes by direct explanation, and sometimes by summary explanation. By they establish tattva by the stories, pastimes of the Lord that happened in the past. So that's how they establish that. So fourth canto highlights Visarga, the secondary creation. Fifth canto highlights Sthana. Sthana means how the planets have been arranged, all the 14 planetary systems. Sixth is Poshana. Poshana means the protection of the devotee. even if a devotee sometimes don't follow dharma and he falls into trap of adharma, even Lord is very merciful. He protects the devotee. So in sixth canto, Poshana is highlighted. Example is Ajamil. Ajamil and Vritrasura, that example is given, that how Lord protects devotees, even sometimes, quote unquote, they may not follow dharma, but Lord protects them, he forgives and protects them. And seventh canto, it highlights Uti. Uti means our samskaras and karmas and everything, and what is pure devotional service and all that stuff. So in the first canto, how it's established that the yogis and gyanis, they elevate to themselves to bhakti. So that is given in third canto in the pastimes, Kardam Muni pastimes, and how they attain pure devotional service. Though they have taken the path of jnana and yoga, they ultimately take shelter of pure devotional service. Then dharma, artha, kama, moksha, that is also being destroyed in the pastime where Daksha Prajapati, he following dharma very nicely. He was following so nicely that there was no one can find any fault in that. He was following dharma, but just by offending a Vaishnava, his whole good piety of following dharma, everything destroyed in a second. So he offended Param Vaishnava, Lord Shiva. So what is the use of following such kind of dharma? If you're following dharma, everything nicely, but you just do one mistake of offending a Vaishnava, all your whatever efforts you have taken to follow dharma, everything becomes nullified, zero, and he suffers it. So ultimately, he begs for forgiveness from Lord Shiva and attains devotional service to Lord. So dharma is there. Just following dharma without bhakti is useless. Then artha. The example is given of artha is Dhruva Maharaj. So he wants to attain the kingdom far greater than what his father can give. So he went with that motive, intention, but by the mercy of Narad Muni, he attains the lotus feet of Krishna. So when he sees Krishna, he says that, I have seen you, my Lord, that after seeing you, whatever I was desiring, the artha, the great position, the kingdom, it seems like a broken pieces of glass. After having your darshan, I don't want anything. I just want you. So even the artha has been destroyed there. The artha is of no use. Any amount of artha is of no use if you don't have devotional service, because everything will be pulled out from you and it's temporary. Okay? The kama, it is highlighted, it is destroyed, this conception in the pastime of Prithu Maharaj, and how Prithu Maharaj was fulfilling all the desires of all the residents of this world, even at the expense of hurting Mother Earth. But he eventually understands his folly and takes shelter of Narayan and attends pure devotional service. It's a very beautiful when Prithu Maharaj and Narayan, they meet. When Prithu Maharaj has darshan of Lord, he is incessantly crying. Lord comes on Garudev to give darshan to Prithu Maharaj. And it's a very beautiful, Lord is standing on Garudev, holding Shankha Chakra Gada Padma, and Garudev is just comes down and he lands. And when Lord wants to get down of Garudev, when he was getting down, he just little bit stumbles and puts his hand on Prithu Maharaj. And Prithu Maharaj is closing his eye and is crying. And it's so beautiful, very intimate meeting between Prithu Maharaj and Lord Narayan. It's so beautiful to read that part of Bhagavatam. So dharma, artha, kama. Kama is also destroyed, because ultimately pure devotion service is the goal. Then moksha. Gajendra, he wanted relief from this material suffering. and he calls out to the Lord. And Lord not only gives him moksha, but he also gives him devotional service, that is lotus feet. So all these things are temporary: dharma, artha, kama, moksha, and the path of jnana and yoga are incomplete. So all these are destroyed throughout Bhagavatam, and bhakti is established as supreme. Okay? And bhakti means the supreme shelter, ashraya. Then we'll see. Then we'll come back to Canto 8. Canto 8 highlights Manvantara, all the dynasties and everything. Okay? And Canto 9 highlights Ishanukata. Ishanukata means the Lord pastimes, the Sun Dynasty and Moon Dynasty. Especially talks about the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra and Parasuram, and then also it segues into the Lord's Janmashtami pastime. Like it ends, 9th canto ends at describing the Moon Dynasty, in which Lord appears, and the 10th canto starts with Janmashtami. Yeah. And 10th canto is the Ashraya, where Lord takes birth. It starts with Janmashtami and ends with his Dwarka Leelas. So this 10th canto is Ashraya for us, because in 10th canto there are pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, Mathura, Dwarka, and Hastinapur. Okay? And 11th canto highlights Mukti, liberation. It talks about the importance of taking shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. Uddhav Gita is there, and Krishna's disappearance. And 12th canto talks about Nirodha. Nirodha means annihilation, destruction, pralaya. So it could be, some sadhus say that Nirodha means Lord winds down his pastime of Srishti Leela and lies down with his Shaktis. And it also mentioned that Krishna, it is like Krishna is lying down in the heart of the Brajvasis, and Brajvasis is lying down in the heart of Krishna. It can be taken that meaning as well. So in this way, all 12 cantos represent different parts of Krishna's body, and also all these 10 leelas, sarga, visarga, up to ashraya. So in the 10th canto we say ashraya. So what is the highlight of that ashraya in 10th canto? So Krishna exemplifies that through one pastime. That is in chapter 24 in Vrindavan, the pastime of Govardhan Leela. So Krishna shows that ultimately I am the ashraya. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva dharma parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Mam tam sarva papebhyo moksha ishami ma suchaha. Krishna ends Bhagavad Gita there, and here he demonstrates through Govardhan Leela that I am the shelter. I am the only shelter. So Govardhan Leela, he is the age of 6. He is at the age of 7. Krishna is at the age of 7. And the Brajvasis, they are planning to conduct their annual sacrifices for Lord Indra, because Lord Indra is a god of rainfall and everything. Okay. And when they are doing this yajna, Krishna comes, when they're making preparation for this yajna, Krishna comes and intervenes. Why are you worshipping Lord Indra? He's just doing his duty. We have to worship cows, we have to worship Brahmanas, we have to worship Govardhan. They're all surprised. Why do you say we should worship Govardhan and cows and Brahmanas? Because they are the one who is providing everything. Govardhan is providing everything to us. Cows are eating the grass, fresh grass on Govardhan, and they're giving us milk. And then we have to worship cows and Govardhan. Then, he basically establishes the Karma Mimamsa philosophy there, and somehow diverts attention to worship Govardhan. Actually, Govardhan is Haridasa Varya. He is the best among the servants of Lord Hari. So he want everybody to worship Govardhan. Krishna wants. So basically, when Govardhan and Krishna are non-different, and then we know that the pastime happens where they do the Go Puja, and then they do Govardhan Parikrama, and they offer Annakut to Govardhan. Krishna himself manifests in Govardhan and acts all the offerings. Okay. Then after that, Lord Indra becomes angry and he starts the rain and everything. Then Krishna shows that, I am the boss and I give shelter to everybody, and he lifts the Govardhan. He calls everybody to under his shelter. Come inside, you'll be protected. And Indra is the most powerful demigod in the universe. And he is the most powerful person. And he is, if anybody has to be afraid of, is Lord Indra, actually. So, because all the demigods are under his control. All the demigods that control our body parts, our senses, and the whole our environment are under the control of Lord Indra. And Krishna says, come to me, I'll give the shelter. And he lifts the Govardhan. And everybody takes shelter of Govardhan, Krishna's. For 7 days and 7 nights, they stay there. And Krishna lifting the Govardhan hill, and they're all happy. They forget what happened outside, because they have taken the shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is a Leela which is telling us, Brajvasis are already devotees of Krishna, but he is establishing that take my shelter and everything will be taken care. You don't need to fear. And there is no sin for not following Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, for not following other paths like Jnana and Yoga. Just surrender unto me. And when Krishna he lifts the Govardhan hill with his left hand, with his little finger here, pinky finger. And Srimati Radharani is, another name is called Vamangi, means she comes from the left side of Krishna. So actually, Srimati Radharani lifts Govardhan. This is what Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions in his commentary, that actually Srimati Radharani lifts the Govardhan and she gives the shelter. Actually, Krishna is the shelter, supreme shelter, but above that is Srimati Radharani. So the 10th canto primarily for us, from our perspective, it is mentioned by Acharyas that we should take shelter of Srimati Radharani. Because by taking shelter of Ashraya of Srimati Radharani, we attain pure loving service to Krishna. Okay, that is what our constitutional position is, to take shelter of. We don't approach Krishna directly, because Krishna is Swarat. If you go to him directly, you don't know what he may do with you. So it's better you be with your Guru, with Srimati Radharani, then you'll be fine. Okay? So we approach Krishna through our Guru, through our Srimati Radharani. Mahaprabhu says, Gopi Bhartur Pada Kamalayo, Dasa Dasa Anu Das. The more we are servants of servants, the better we can serve Krishna and more blissful we will be. Our Goswamis mentioned that actually, even in our spiritual life, in our sadhana, when we are doing, when we become more and more attracted to Krishna Vigraha, that means our spiritual senses are coming out. The more we are getting attracted to Krishna's form, name, and qualities and pastimes, that means our spiritual senses are becoming active, and our material senses are becoming dull and weak. And the more our spiritual senses become active, we get more and more attracted towards Krishna, and it becomes so irresistible, because Krishna is so beautiful. If we don't see now, we don't feel that now, that means our material senses are very active, and our spiritual senses are dormant. So that is, we should be honest with ourselves, how much we are getting attracted to Krishna. And we have to see our own health, spiritual health. And Krishna wants us to do that. So if we directly get, if when our spiritual senses get active and we get attracted to Krishna so much, and we just directly approach Krishna, then we may end up in a wrong direction because we try to enjoy our spiritual senses. It is called Samanya Rati. Goswamis explained that it's called Samanya Rati. And the example is given is Kubja's example was given. But we want to serve Krishna following in the footsteps of Srimati Radharani and her servants. Then that is Samanjana Rati. So you want to serve Krishna not to enjoy our spiritual senses, but we want to serve Krishna to give pleasure to Krishna's senses, to serve Krishna, to please Krishna, to please Krishna's senses. So that is a pure bhakti. That is a pure bhakti. And that is what our Goswamis are giving us. That ultimately we take Ashraya of Srimati Radharani. Our supreme Ashraya is Srimati Radharani, and who is always serving Krishna, Krishna's name, form, qualities, everything. And so Krishna, out of all incarnation, Krishna is very merciful. Krishna in Vrindavan is very, very merciful. Okay? And if you see the mercy of Narayan or Ramachandra or any other incarnation, Krishna is most merciful because he's Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is to Bhagavan Swayam. Okay? But more merciful than Krishna is Srimati Radharani, because she is compassionate nature of Krishna. And she is Jagan Mata, she is Param Mata for us. Krishna as Kaviraj Goswami explained that she is Jagan Mata for us. She nourishes our bhakti, she feeds us rasa. Okay, so, but when these two combine, what happens? So Krishna is the most merciful incarnation, and Radharani is even more merciful than Krishna. When these two combine, what happens? Gauranga Mahaprabhu appears. And Gauranga Mahaprabhu, that's why he is the most merciful. Namo Mahavadanyaya. So he is Radha Krishna. Because Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. Radha Krishna combined is Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay? So here Krishna is in the mood. He cannot repay the service of Srimati Radharani. Okay, so he want to offer Srimati Radharani more and more servants. He want to reclaim all the souls and offer to lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. So the purpose of this whole creation, Sarga, Visarga, Sthana, Poshana, the whole creation, Mahavishnu, Garbhodaksha, Shinodashya, Vishnu, everything that going on, Srishti Lila going on, is to reclaim us. We are here, conditioned soul. We are Kali Yuga rejects. We are Bahirmukh. We are looking outside towards matter. We need to look inside towards spirit. So Krishna is creating this universe just so that he can come and display his pastimes and take us back home. Thaddama Paramam. So it takes us back home to Vrindavan. So Mahaprabhu has this, because he wants to offer us to Srimati Radharani. So Krishna has this feeling, I want to offer all these souls, these Atmas to Srimati Radharani. And Radharani has this feeling that I want to bring everybody to Krishna's service. So these two most powerful bhavas of Radha and Krishna combined is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's why he is the most merciful. Like you're getting full package in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu is so mercifully giving us Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Golokera Prema Dharna Harinam Sankirtana. He's giving us this medicine. You chant this and you will see yourself in Vrindavan at the lotus feet of Supreme Ashra Srimati Radharani, serving Krishna. And that do in a proper way, in a proper rati, in pure devotional service. Yeah. So that is the glory of our supreme Ashraya, Srimati Radharani. So for us Gaudiyas, the Ashraya is Srimati Radharani. Okay. So all these 9 topics is to understand that we should take shelter of Srimati Radharani. And the best way to take shelter of Srimati Radharani is to take shelter of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. That's it. If you take shelter of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, now this day, following in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada and the Goswamis, then we see ourselves at the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani by their mercy. So we try to understand all these things, 9 topics, to attain that. Okay. So I will pause here. If anybody have any comments or questions, or want to add any comments, reflections.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
My pranams to you. Thank you so much for this wonderful class. I just want to say Guru Parampara ki Jaya.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Patita Pavana Prema Purushottama Sachinandana Gaura Hare ki Jaya.
Jai, Jai.
Vrashabhanu Nandini Vrindavaneshwari Srimati Radharani ki Jaya. Hare
Jai.
Krishna.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
so much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Param Dayal Nityananda Prabhu ki Jai.
Jai.
Okay. So, yeah, so our goal is to take shelter of Srimati Radharani. And for that, we study Srimad Bhagavatam from Canto 1 to 12 systematically. So we have to hear from Guru, first step. Second step is we have to do Swadhyay, self-study. And third thing is we have to contemplate, deliberate on what we have studied from all angles. From all angles. So this chapter is called Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. So it is, one sadhu said that, one Maharaj said that, even if all the books in this world get destroyed or lost, if one book, Srimad Bhagavatam, is left, then we have not lost anything. That's a very powerful statement, actually. If everything is lost, all literatures in this world are lost, but only Srimad Bhagavatam is left, then we have not, we have everything. So that is the glory of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. Okay, thank you everybody. Good night. Thank you for hearing. So, Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Ananta Goti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Nitai Gaur Sitanath Premanande. Hari Hari.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.